Well, I have 12 noon on this happy St. Patrick's Day, and no, I've not been nipping already, but it's a good thought. But welcome. Thanks for joining us today for our new knowledge session. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital, and if you're not familiar with us, we are a community development financial institution focused on lending, investing, and community innovation services. We at VCC are happy to partner in this program with the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, and the town of Abingdon to provide this professional development program. It's hard to believe that we've had this going since 2014, helping businesses new and expanding, connect to professional development services, new workshops on tips to do better at managing their business. A little housekeeping. Today's session will be recorded for training and educational purposes. I wanted to also, before we get started, I wanted to let you know that in order to keep the webinar flowing and stay within our 1 hour time frame, we have muted everyone. However, we do want to hear from you, and if you have a question for our presenter today, please post those in the Q&A section, and we will address those at the end of his presentation. Today, we are pleased to have Jonathan Evenden lead our session focused on making the most online with a limited budget, and I think everyone can relate to the limited budget part. Jonathan is president and founder of Aegis IT, located in Kingsport, Tennessee. He's been full-time in the IT industry since 2004 when he started Aegis in 2012. In rare moments that he is not in front of his computer, he loves playing board games and watching Netflix with his wife and son. Jonathan, welcome, and I look forward to your session today.
Well, thanks, Andy. So the presentation for today, how to make the most online with a limited budget, we're really going to be focusing on resources for nonprofits, as there are some fantastic things that they can do online to cut their costs. And as popular as some of these things are, I still walk into plenty of nonprofits, and many of them have never heard of some of these resources. So we are very happy to get this information out there, and it will frequently make a very serious impact, especially when you start seeing some of the prices that nonprofits can obtain software for. All right, so just real quick, my background, I've been fixing computers since the mid-90s. It's something that I absolutely love. It's a passion and it's a hobby. I started in enterprise IT in 2005 after college, started doing help desk at a bank. Got into consulting shortly thereafter and have absolutely loved working as an IT consultant. Started Aegis IT in 2012. It has been a dream for a long time to run my own company, and I had the opportunity and have absolutely loved it. Aegis IT, we provide hardware and software support. We do managed IT services such as antivirus and patches and remote access. And we also help with disaster recovery and prevention. And we actually do IT support for a number of nonprofit organizations in the area. And that will look differently depending on which organization it is and just how much support that they need. But we are big supporters of nonprofits here in the area. So let's go through and just give a big overview. IT is pretty expensive. You can spend a significant amount of money on licenses and hardware. And so one of the things that we love to do is be able to walk into nonprofits and tell them that they don't need to spend all this money and that there are some great options for saving money. So the first thing is this great resource called Techsoup. Techsoup basically goes to organizations and essentially asks them for donation level or basically significantly discounted software. They also can sell computer hardware, but their computer hardware is not really as good of a deal from what I've been able to see. But their software is absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to go through and spend probably the bulk of this presentation talking about Techsoup. It's seriously one of the best resources that we have for nonprofits. And their pricing just makes me cry every time I see it, because I as a company have to pay full retail pricing. But I also help nonprofits purchase this, and I look at what I have to pay, and I look at what they have to pay, and it can be pretty painful. but I'm glad that there are donors and vendors out there that are willing to give it at such a discounted price. So we'll spend a lot of time talking about TechSoup. Additionally, Office 365 has been fantastic for email. They give free email options, and recently they've started giving out free software as well. That has been huge for our nonprofits, and we generally like Office 365 as an email platform anyway, and so that's what we're typically setting people up on regardless. So we'll go into some details on that as well. Then also, another one that I don't see a whole lot around here, Amazon Smile is basically a charity wing of Amazon, and they have the ability for people to have automatic donations come in when you're purchasing, but they also have the option to set up wish lists and looking for specific items if you're a nonprofit. And so you could come up with a donation list, post that online, and then have people buy items directly for you. So it's really cool, and it can make a big impact, especially if you're able to maintain a wish list of things that you like. And then finally, there's some options for credit cards. I was not aware of this before I started doing this, but thanks to Chris Clear, he was able to give me some resources on some ways that nonprofits can directly save money when they process credit cards. That's a bit more restrictive because only certain types of nonprofits get access to that lower interchange rate, but I'll go into that a bit more. But it's actually pretty substantial savings. Once again, I look at what I pay for it, I look at what they're charging for it, and it's a pretty substantial savings. So, all right. So I'll be spending most of the time talking on TechSoup. TechSoup is just absolutely fantastic, and we're going to say here directly. So it really is truly our number one resource. And so I've got some pictures of what the pricing is for retail and what nonprofits can purchase for directly online. So you've got software at steep discounts. Typically, Microsoft is 90% off. That's pretty consistently what I've seen. Although you see in one of them, it's even bigger than that. They do sell hardware. The computers that I've seen that have come from TechSoup are not that great. So I would not typically recommend that. There are other ways of getting hardware. Basically, there's some refurbished programs on Amazon and Dell, and I just have had better experiences with those computers overall as compared to what TechSoup. But they do offer it. That might be worthwhile buying one. That's entirely your call. The key thing to remember with TechSoup is that there are criteria that you have to meet. So they don't give these pricing out to every single nonprofit. For example, each donor has individual requirements. So Microsoft has one set of requirements, Adobe has one set of requirements, Intuit has one set of requirements, and they're all somewhat different. So what they do is when you sign up for TechSoup, they ask you a bunch of demographic information, and then depending on how you answer, they will give you options as to what software and resources you can buy based on those answers. So, for example, if you have under $1 million in your annual budget, that will basically be all donors. You'll have access to everything. So they're really pushing to help these smaller charities and smaller nonprofits. If you have under 10 million, then most of the donors, that's where most of the donors are, like Microsoft and Adobe and Intuit, I believe, they're all 10 million or less. So there's still access. If you're a good sized organization, you can still get a good amount of donations and a good amount of discounted software, even if you're at a bigger size. And then some donors also have a restriction size on the number of employees. Once again, there's a page that shows all the eligibility and availability of these resources. So I pulled a screenshot of who are the vendors on TechSoup. It's a big list. This is not the full list. This was just the best screen that I could get that showed the most amount of vendors. So you'll see Adobe, Amazon is on there, Autodesk, Bitdefender, Box.com, Cisco, other ones are like Constant Contact. Dell's got some stuff on there. Once again, hit or miss. DocuSign, Dropbox, Microsoft, Intuit, Linksys. Other important ones. Yeah, it's a good size list, and they are resources that we typically prefer that we're going to be using pretty much anyway. So I mean, almost everyone's using Microsoft at some level. almost all of our clients are using QuickBooks, and so there's an opportunity for them to save a substantial amount on vendors that they're already going to be spending money on. So let's see here. Let's give you a direct cost comparison as to what this looks like. So how much are you really saving? So we typically see, I just had, I spoke last week to a nonprofit that was asking about how much it was going to cost them to get set up on QuickBooks. We do a ton of QuickBooks support. It's a very commonly purchased piece of software, especially for our businesses. So if you go on Amazon and you're a regular person like me, and you say you're going to want to get the 2 license, that's going to cost you $1,000. It's actually going to cost you $600 if you buy Premier with only 1 license. They'll give you a slight discount on 2. The 3-user license is, I want to say $1,400. Well, on Techsoup, you can buy 3 users for $150. So instead of paying $500 per license by buying at retail, the nonprofit can spend $50 per license, and so you get more, and you're paying a considerably smaller portion. So it's 90% of the purchase price, basically. It's the exact same software. You get your licenses the exact same way. You download it. Everything is exactly the same. It's just at a ridiculously discounted price. So what else? Microsoft. We have in here Microsoft Server. That's a pretty common purchase. Once again, almost every server that we purchase for us is coming with Microsoft. That's not necessarily the case depending on what kind of organization you are, but it's most of your line of business software is going to be running on Microsoft Server. So if you were to go to Microsoft.com and you were to try and buy a retail purchase of Windows Server 2019, and then this also includes a couple of cows, so it's not a direct comparison, but you're looking at $1,300. Typically, when I buy Windows Server with a server, so the OEM pricing is about $650 to $700. So that's a more direct price. But this is if you were to go buy it straight from the source. So what does Techsoup sell this for? Yeah, $11. Once again, I cry every time I see this because I know how much I've got to pay if I'm buying this retail. So yes, that's the exact same thing. The license activates the exact same way. It's a full-fledged copy of Windows Server Standard, and you're paying $11. So this is a incredible deal and a great cost savings for nonprofits. So what's another common one? Microsoft Office. We buy Microsoft Office like it's candy because just about all of our clients are using Microsoft Office. So home and business is probably the one we buy the most. I think I've purchased it 100 times on my Amazon account. And you are going to pay $220 retail. And this is for home and business. This includes only Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. That's once again, it's what we mostly sell. So you go on Amazon, you're going to spend $219. If you go on Microsoft's website, you're going to spend $250. So you get a very slight discount if you buy it from Amazon. Techsoup, $40. And not only that, but it's a higher tier of Office. It's Office Standard, which includes, in addition to Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, and Word, you get Publisher and OneNote. So you're getting a better version of Office, and you're paying a fraction of the price. They don't really sell Standard on Amazon, so that's a volume license, but it's more expensive than what the home and business is. So you're talking probably, I think it's if you were to buy Publisher as a standalone, you're paying another $100. So the retail price is closer to $350 by the time you're done. And instead, the nonprofit pays once, and it's for $40. So this is an extremely good deal for nonprofits. So let's see here. What else? Adobe. Adobe, if you're going to go adobe.com, you're buy a full copy of Adobe Pro because you need to be able to edit PDFs, update PDFs, export PDFs, and encrypt PDFs, and a bunch of other specific things related to PDFs. You're looking at $450. So you can pay more than that over time because of the license subscription, and I personally don't like doing that because you'll pay a significant amount of money compared to buying it one time. So a person like me goes adobe.com and they buy the full copy of Adobe Pro, and it's $450. Techsoup, you can get the exact same thing for $55. Once again, it's not quite a 90% discount, but it's about an 80% discount. So it's a considerable savings over going and buying at retail. And once again, exact same software, exact same licensing. Everything is exactly the same. So Office 365, well, we use Office 365 for the most part anyway. And so this is a great platform. Our primary setup. You've got Gmail as well, but we've had issues with Gmail in the past, especially when it comes to support. They basically don't have support for Gmail. Even if you're paying for Gmail, they don't have support. So Office 365 as a result is what we prefer for setting up our email. And they have some really fantastic opportunities for nonprofits. They've really done a good job of providing resources for nonprofits. So for example, you can get completely free email, like 100% free. They're not charging you anything. It's 100% free email for up to 300 mailboxes. In contrast, that's a $5 a month mailbox fee if you're a retail organization just to get started. So they'll give you basically $1,500 a month for free in email if you were to use it for that. Additionally, they give free copies of Office 365 for up to 10 users. So instead of paying $40, they'll give it to you for free, 100% for free. You're not paying for anything. And so that is something that they recently did partway through last year. And that has been absolutely fantastic. And this is really targeting the smaller nonprofits because up to 10 users, there's plenty of nonprofits out there that have 10 users or less. And so they're heavily targeting that segment of the population. And it is fantastic. That's game changing. So instead of having to pay $40, you can just get it for free. So that's basically $400 worth of software, which is already discounted from $350. So you're talking they're giving you $3,500 worth of software for free. Now the downside, or the only thing to remember, is that because it's email, you probably need someone to help you set up that email. There's a whole process to get it set up and working, to get it secured, and whatever else. And that's where we really come in to play with that and to help, because we do a lot of email support, and we're a big fan of helping nonprofits in that way. So that's something where if you've got an internal email admin, or you've got an IT person that you're working with, they can help you get that set up. Microsoft does try to make it easy to get your email working on your own, but there are still some technical steps that you just have to know how to do in order for it to go smoothly. And you can actually break things if you are not careful, or if you just follow the wizard blindly, because they have some email setup wizards and other things to help people get through it. But if you're not sure what you're doing, there are opportunities to make it not work right. Okay. Then the other nice part about this is if you need more than this free amount, you can still get additional licenses at a steep discount. So Microsoft charges about $12 retail per month. If you want to get the tier that includes the Office 365 software, I think it's about $3 a month for nonprofits. So even if you need to pay for it, instead of paying $144 a year for the license, you're paying $36. So it's steeply discounted. It is fantastic, and I highly recommend Office 365 for email. And this is what we currently set up all our regular clients anyway, and we highly encourage nonprofits to look at it for hosting their email. And that's something that we've done. Pretty much any nonprofit that we're working with, we have had the conversation at some point about switching them to Office 365. And even if we charge a nominal setup fee, they're still going to be saving money in the long run, especially if they've been paying for email with another host. All right. So Amazon Smile. I'm trying not to go through this too quickly because this is a little bit shorter of a presentation just based on the amount of content. But Amazon Smile is a fantastic program. I just grabbed a screenshot. The key things to note is that down in the bottom left, you've got generate donations. So Amazon Smile will donate 0.5% of whatever purchases people make to your organization. You don't have any fees, you don't have any costs. They just straight up give you the money for free. Then you can also have a wish list set up, and you can list a bunch of items, and then people can browse and essentially donate that directly to you. So, if you need office supplies, or if you need a chair, or you need, basically anything you can buy on Amazon, which is a pretty extensive list of products and even some services, depending on what you need. it's a pretty extensive catalog of things you can buy on Amazon, and people can donate that to you directly. So if you're not set up with it, I would highly recommend it, and you can even include that in some of your social marketing and other ways of reaching out to people. Because for the person who's purchasing it, it's fairly simple to get started. You just have to remember to go to smile.amazon.com and buy things that way, and it will automatically flag your purchases as generating donations to that organization. So it's based on purchases, and there are some restrictions, but for the most part, almost everything qualifies. So there's really no reason not to do this. You also have the wish list for direct donations. This is, I would say that the purchases is a more passive donation, whereas the wish list is a more active donation. So there's, it's to your favor to have both going at the same time. And then people can seamlessly shop as long as it'll work both on the Amazon mobile app, which is typically how I'm buying things on Amazon, or in the web browser. You just have to go to smile.amazon.com. And so for the person who's actually purchasing to try and donate, there's minimal interference and minimal friction to be able to make that work. It's really great. The only downside is that when you have donations coming in from purchases, you don't really know who's donating, so it's not like you can send them a thank you or mark it to them directly. I think that's data that Amazon likes to keep private. I'm sure that they've got their own reasons for why they do this, and I'm sure it helps their analytics for marketing. But you just don't know. I wish you did. That's their call, their program, and they're not charging you for it. Finally, there is options related to credit cards. This was a bit new to me, and I'm thankful to Chris Clear for helping me understand this or know about this. So Visa and MasterCard actually have options for lower processing fees. So when it comes to figuring out how much you're going to pay to process your card, you have what's called the interchange rate, then you have the processor rate, and combined, they end up factoring into your fees. So Visa and MasterCard have their own fee that they're charging, and then whoever you're processing with has their own fee for charging. And so what happens is that if you are set up in a certain way with Visa and MasterCard, and there's a certain qualification or certain classification for your nonprofit that you have to be, then you are able to get a considerable discount on the interchange rates, which will result in you getting charged less overall for your credit card processing. So it's actually fairly restrictive. This is not going to qualify for everybody. You have to be set up a certain way with Visa and MasterCard, and you have to be a certain type of nonprofit. So this is not a blanket all 501c3s. You would definitely need help from your merchant processor to make sure that you qualify, and then it doesn't even qualify for all transactions. There's certain transactions with a primary focus on taking donations online. So that's where you really see the most savings. So if you've got people, swiping a card in person, you're not going to necessarily see that lower rate. But if you've got an online donation page associated with your nonprofit, that's where you're really going to see the most price savings on the processing fees. So you have to also be set up on the back end. So this is not a 2-minute thing and you're done. This is a good amount of planning and preparation and making sure you have everything lined up right to make this happen. And so I am not a credit card processor. I don't sell credit cards. I'm not necessarily the best person to talk about this. I'm happy to make sure that people know about it, but I would highly recommend talking to Chris Clear. He's who I use for my credit card processing, and he is extremely knowledgeable on this topic on how to best get nonprofits set up for this kind of work. And once again, there's narrow requirements. You do have to be a certain type of nonprofit. So that would be the best person to talk to see if you qualify and to see how to get those credit cards brought down. So this is a little bit shorter than what I necessarily anticipated, but the biggest thing is Techsoup. And you can save money if you know where to look. I was trying not to turn this into a Techsoup presentation, but it has such a huge impact on nonprofits, especially on the software. We do walk into nonprofits and they've never heard of Techsoup or Office 365 email or even the merchant services. And so we do end up spending time helping people get set up on Techsoup or helping people get registered with Office 365. The thing that we help people with the most is getting email moved and email set up in such a way that they're not actually breaking their email. But that's going to some of those vendors depend on what you're actually using on Techsoup and how you're using them. And then we also regularly help people get set up on these platforms. So if you've got a nonprofit and you're wanting to get some feedback on what you can do, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be very happy to talk to you and help you. I can't say that everything we do would be for free, but we do spend a lot of time helping a lot of nonprofits, and that's something that we're pretty passionate about. So, Sandy, I'm sorry I don't have more. It was really, once I started putting everything together, it just ended up being Techsoup because it has such a huge impact. So I did see that there was a question. I didn't see what the question was though.
I don't see that in the Q&A,
Oh.
but I've got a couple questions, and I hope those that are joining us will share their questions, because I work a lot with a lot of nonprofits, as well as I know my friend Gary McGow is on here, and I would think he's got a ton of questions as well. But what does Techsoup require for nonprofits to verify their nonprofit status?
Yeah, so Microsoft and Techsoup, they do ask for information, so you have to submit basically proof that you're going to submit your EIN number. But I think they're going to also ask for some documentation demonstrating it. So, I mean, if you're submitting an EIN, that's registered with the federal government, so it's pretty easy to verify that you are who you say you are once you give an EIN number. So, in both cases, there is a setup time involved. Usually, it's about a week at least. So, if you need something that day, don't wait till then to sign up for either of them. Make sure that you've got it signed up in advance from when you use it. And then when you're buying, say, Microsoft Volume License from Techsoup, the vendors still make you go through all the normal process. So you still have to have an account with the Microsoft Volume License, and everything's treated exactly the same as it would be if you bought a retail or an OEM license or something from Amazon. So it's just that you're purchasing it at a substantial discount. They also have restrictions, like they obviously would not be very happy if you purchased licenses on Techsoup and then went and sold them on eBay. That'd be a pretty quick way to get your account shut down if they were able to trace it back to you.
Oh, I do see my friend Gary McGow did ask a question. Yes, Jonathan has shared with me the PowerPoint from today, and I will be distributing that out. And that would be great.
Absolutely.
To share with the nonprofits that you deal with. Now, one other thing that is very concerning when you're working and you have any of these softwares is how you're treated. Since you're a nonprofit and you're paying less than retail, how are you treated the same in regards to tech support with these?
As far as I can tell, because basically they're looking at it and they're seeing a valid license. I mean, that would almost be on a vendor by vendor basis, but I've never had any difference in any of the people that I've called. It's basically, hey, you have a legitimate license for this, you're going to get the same support as everyone else. But that's a really good question.
Okay. And licenses is all treated just like any
exactly
other?
The same.
Okay.
Yep. So you buy 5 licenses of QuickBooks, it's going to be the same 5 licenses of QuickBooks as if you went and bought it from Intuit.com.
How long has this been out?
I'm not sure. I found out about it back in 2008, 2009 timeframe, and it had been in place before then. So it's probably been around for 15, 20 years as far as I could guess. But I don't know exactly, and I was pretty shocked that it was out there.
Well, I'm shocked and disappointed that I didn't know as much as I've worked with again with nonprofits through the years and volunteer and and just the work that I do. I don't see any other questions. Jonathan, once again, you've blown my mind. I had no idea that this was available and that you can get a special discount for a Microsoft 365. I think.
Yeah. Oh, that once again, this has all been game changer, and I'm still like we talk about it as often as we can because of how much of an impact it has on the pricing.
It's a big impact. A huge impact, I must say.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you. I know you've got many irons in the fire, but thank you for your time today and putting this together and sharing your expertise. Also want to thank those that have joined us during the session. I hope that you are leaving with the wow moment as I am. Jonathan will actually be leading another session tomorrow at noon. If you're interested, it's part of our Refocus and Rebuild series that is focused on sourcing software, when to buy, and when to write your own software, and that will be at noon. And I will post the link or share it when I send you the PowerPoint and the link where you can watch today's video up on the internet. I mentioned about recording this. It will be available on the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator's Facebook page and also on Virginia Community Capital's Facebook page. And then we have a YouTube channel called New Knowledge, and it will be up there. There's well over hundreds of other videos up there available at no cost on demand. So whenever you run into an obstacle, you can't get help all of a sudden, you've got access to help that's available. Just want to give a plug for our next session. It is on April the 7th, and Sonia Van Hook with Toastmasters will be leading that session. And I hope that you'll plan to join us, and it's focused on the importance of public speaking, and that's important for everyone. So hope you can make plans to join us. Also, when I share the link, I hope that you found value in the workshop and you will share with others that they can benefit from this session and Jonathan's knowledge. So thanks again, and I hope to see everyone back again very soon.
Excellent.
Thanks, Jonathan.
See you tomorrow.
Have a good one.
Bye.